We already understand a little about the policies and the gates, but basically we are going to use majorly the policies to handle the authorization logic in our RESTful API. During this class, we are going to use a policy to handle or restrict the authorization that a user could have over the buyer resource. That means to check the information of a buyer or purchase something, see the categories for a buyer, etc. Basically, the logic is going to be here a very simple stuff. We are going to verify that the user that is performing the request identified by the access token is the same user that is being requested in the URL. It means if we send a request to buyer/5, that means that only the user with ID 5 will be able to obtain that specific information. So let's create the policy. For this, we just need to use the make policy command. The name of the policy is going to be buyer policy. And we are going to use a model for this that is going to be, of course, buyer. Once we have this, we can go to the code, and inside the app, we have a new folder called policies, and there is the buyer policy. We have already created some methods inside there, but we are going to use only two. We have the view with the same name, and we have other called purchase. As you may imagine, this is going to allow the users to see or check some information. And purchase is going to be used to validate when a user can purchase or not. So the only thing that we are going to verify here is if the user ID is the same of the buyer ID that we are receiving on the request. So we are going to keep this simple. Of course, we may have a lot of other conditions for this. For example, if it is a valid user or has a valid email, and I don't know, many other things. So you can use all the conditions that you need in your project, or if you want to practice, you can use all the other conditions that you need. You just need to be sure that this is returning true when it is allowed and false when not. Once we have the policy created, we just need to register the policy. For this, we just need to go to the auth service provider, and there we have a protected attribute called policies. As you can see, the first is the name of the model that is going to be applied for the policy, and the second one is the policy itself. So basically, what Laravel is going to do is to verify if I receive an instance of model, I'm going to use the model policy. Of course, we need to change this for buyer model. Let's use a simple syntaxes. And we have the buyer policy. Let's import the definition. And we have now already registered our policy for buyer. So every time that we use a policy and send an instance of buyer, Laravel is going to know that we need to use the buyer policy and use the method that we specify. Let's start protecting the buyer category controller. So let's go to the buyer category controller. And we are going to protect only the index method. For this, we can use a middleware called can, and we need to pass different things. The first one is the name of the action, or let's say basically the method that we are going to execute. In this case, is going to be view. And the second one is the name of the resource. Can be buyer, seller, category, etc. This is very important. We have several options here. We can pass the name of the model, it means app/buyer, or we can send directly an instance of the buyer, or, especially in this case, we just can say buyer. Saying this, Laravel automatically is going to use the same buyer that we are receiving, basically the same ID that we are receiving on the parameters of the URL. It is working exactly the same way as the implicit model injection. Basically the same way as the instance of buyer is being resolved here, this is going to resolve the instance of buyer to be sent as a parameter or an argument of these functions. So, at this point, we have already protected the index method, only the index method, on this controller. Now we just need to go to the other controllers. In the Boyard controller, again, we just need to protect one method, and in this case is the show method. The index method is a special case, as we are going to see in a future class. Then we have Boyard product controller, and again we are going to apply the view restriction over only the index method. We can continue to Boyard transaction controller, because Boyard seller controller is a special case too. So here we are going to apply exactly the same over the index method. And finally, but not less important, we have the product Boyard transaction controller. And it is special because this action is allowing the buyer to purchase something. So maybe you are right. We need to apply here the purchase permission. And this is going to be applied only for the store method. So once we have this, we have completely protected the endpoints that we want to protect, of course, for a specific user. It means only the user authenticated via the access token is going to be allowed to do that if that ID is exactly the same. In other cases, it's going to be denied. So let's check that. I already obtained an access token, a personal access token from the user interface. You can do the same. You already know how to do that. So we have this here. And this access token belongs to the user with ID 629. It means if I send a request to obtain the data about the buyer with ID number 1, for example, this is going to fail. As you can see here, we have a 403 response saying this is not authorized for us. But what happened if I use the ID 629? Well, it is allowed. Basically because the user that owns this specific access token is this same user. In other case, it's not going to be possible. So we are done here. Let's continue in the next classes with other endpoints and of course other resources to protect. See you there.